Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Broke, Gifted, and Black. I am Nana.
I'm Nikki.
And I'm giving you African militants head wrap goodness today. You're welcome. For those that can see on the video.
I'm just giving same hair, but lightning bolt earring.
Oh, that's cool.
One hoop earring vibes today.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Thanks.
The lightning bulb makes your face go up.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little badass today. It's badassery in the lightning bolt.
Next week, or in 2 weeks, Nikki will come back with a tattoo across her forehead.
Yes. Actually, it'll be an eye tattoo, a la Mike Tyson.
Oh, I thought it would be like, Amber, what's her name that used to date Kanye, has a tattoo on her. Amber Rose. Yeah, she has a tattoo on her forehead. I'm like,
or I'll be like Lil Uzi Vert and get me a diamond, but mine will only be like worth $100.
You'll be like Vision.
Mine will just be $100 diamond. It's not going to be worth anything at
all. It's the thought that counts. So.
It is indeed.
So welcome to another week of a lot that has gone on. Before we start BGB news, I didn't want to include him because I really like the silence of not having Trump on social media. But Facebook decided, their board or whatever decided that it's okay that he's banned, but they are putting it back on Zuckerberg of whether or not they should ban him indefinitely, but they can't suspend him indefinitely. We'll talk about that more later, but that's stupid. That's all I want to say.
I haven't really heard about that, but yeah, he just needs to just be quiet in his whole life.
Yeah. I've been happy with it. But hopefully, to save us from all of this nonsense, at the top of BGB News, we're talking about a Black Superman.
Woohoo!
So, Warner Brothers is in search for a Black Superman after they have enlisted the help of Ta-Nehisi Coates to write the latest feature on the superhero. The studio is searching for its director and star as it kickstarts the next phase of its DC universe.
Okay. I think I'm surprised. Has there been any backlash on this? I'm assuming that, there's going to be the whole Superman was white.
Yeah.
Whole thing.
Of course.
Being that Superman is fictional.
And he's an alien.
Yeah, he's from Krypton.
He's an alien. Like, you're telling me there are no Black aliens, only white aliens?
Well, they're probably not even white aliens. They're
just green. Exactly.
They're supposed to be green. Or ETS.
Or what if they look just like us and they're every single color and their own nationality? Maybe their colors aren't like black and white. Maybe their colors are like purple and...
They got Afro-Martians?
Yeah. Why not? We everywhere. I don't know what y'all talking about. We everywhere.
Filipino Martian.
Filipino Martian. Latin Martianex.
Martianex.
Or
venile. Venile be African venile.
Exactly. Okay. Like, who's to say that they're just white?
But it wouldn't be African because there's not an African.
It wouldn't be an African, yes, but it would be like a, whatever they would call it.
Well, who do you think could be the Superman? Who in this day and age could be Superman? Do you think? Because we can't have Michael B. Jordan because he's already Eric Killmonger, or he was in Black Panther.
I was going to say, can it be Michael B. Jordan? Because I just saw his new movie with Lauren London, who has 5 lines. And I was like, okay, kick some butt, Michael.
Yeah.
Okay.
He looked nice and,
as Killmonger.
All his little dots and stuff. So And it can't be
Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie. Can't be him. Maybe Aldous Hodge.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good. And the other guy from what's that show that you watch that I haven't started watching? Queen Sugar.
Ooh, Kofi. I just can't see Kofi as anybody other than Ralph Angel Bordelon right now because of the accent. Like I need to see something else because.
But that's not his real voice, is
I
it?
know, no, I'm sure it's not. I don't know what he sounds like for real, but I can't see Superman with a Louisiana Southern accent. So
why not? Who's to say Krypton ain't got a South?
South side of Krypton?
South side Krypton. I'm from the deep south side of Krypton. You know, we got like, what if they had like Southern food on Krypton? If it was like instead of mac and cheese, it was like
crap and cheese.
Crap and crack.
Crip and cheese.
Yeah, crack and cheese. You know, we don't know.
Crack and cheese?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shit's addictive.
Touche. Nice. Well played.
Thank you. But I this might be very colorist, and I'm sorry. I see him being brown skinned though.
As opposed to light skin?
Yeah.
So, well, hell, light skinned people ain't in. No way. Light skin.
Yes, they are. Drake is like
Drake ain't in.
Drake is in.
Drake is like meh. Drake is middle
Drake
of the road.
is very much in. And before crack, Chris Brown.
Yeah.
Yes.
But okay. So we can't have a light-skinned Superman. Well, we haven't named anybody that's light-skinned anyway. So
no, I'm just saying I see him as being dark. I don't know why.
You know who would be a good Superman?
Who?
My friend Nick Sager.
Is this someone I don't know?
He was my partner on Queen of the South.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Nick, you need to call your management and have them reach out to
get your people to call the DC universe.
He needs to have a clip where he is walking down the street in a suit and then he rips it off. And then
he actually has something on IG right now where he's like almost out of his clothes. Like
really?
Not like completely, but yeah, he had something on there like the other day, and I was like, boy, you better stop. Boy, you better stop. You better put your clothes on. He's like a brother to me, so I'm just like really protective. I'm like, these little girls.
Of course they're looking. Now I'm gonna go look after.
I know you are. And you just keep your eyes in your head.
Where else would they be, Nikki? Where are they going?
Keep them right there.
In order for them to function, I need them to stay in my head.
Well,
but thank you.
Yeah, don't be like boing, 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 boing.
I mean, if he like warrants it, I'm sure. Why else is he posting that on social media? Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So hey, it might be Nick, it might be Aldous Hodge. I'm excited though.
My vote's for my brother.
I'm sure there's backlash. I'm not really trying to pay attention to backlash anymore. I'm not arguing with people about whether racism exists, Tim Scott or anybody else. I'm just like Kamala.
What?
Okay. Moving on.
You're moving on. So apparently Game of Thrones has a prequel that's coming called The House of Dragons at HBO. They revealed their first look official photos. I didn't even watch the first one, so
are you serious? So we can't have this conversation very well because it's like you don't understand the winter is coming.
I don't. No, I mean winter. I don't know that, especially because it never comes to Texas, except for.
I was about to say,
except for this year,
it has come before even this year. This year it just came and it whooped people's butt. Well, this is okay. So for all those people except for Nikki who have seen Game of Thrones.
Not an episode.
Wow. It's the prequel series. It's called House of Dragons. So anyone who knows, they know Daenerys Targaryen is Targaryen, and the Targaryens were known to be like dragon people, and they had dragons, and basically they trained dragons, and that's how they captured the world, because they had big old dragons, and dragons can kill everything. And then the dragons became extinct, and so then the power of the Targaryens diminished, and then Daenerys was the last one after her brother was killed. Rightfully so. I kind of enjoyed that. So it should be interesting. It's going to tell the story of House of Targaryen before.
So is it going to have not the same actors? Is it? Because I mean, like, okay,
no, she is the last of the line. So before, the whole point of the Targaryens is they were an incestuous line,
and everybody was into this because
it was just it was so good. It was such a well-developed story. Bless you.
That was just a cough.
Oh, okay.
I had a little tickle in my throat.
Oh, well, bless you anyway.
Thanks.
It was just a really well thought out storyline. There were multiple families all aiming for the power of the throne. And it was kind of taken after the War of the Roses, because you had the two main families, the Lannisters and the Starks. And in the War of the Roses, you had the Lancasters and the Yorks. Okay. Anyway, first looks, it looks interesting. There's also a black guy with white dreads. So that was the thing about the last one. It wasn't as diverse. Later on, it became a little bit more diverse.
I mean, come on now. Let's be, see this. Okay. I'm all for diversity. I am, because diversity has to happen. But how do you explain diversity in, I mean, obviously this is, a fictional place, a fictional universe. So,
right.
I mean, I guess you can have the diversity there, but like, there are some situations where you're forcing diversity when there really wasn't any.
Why wasn't there diversity though?
What?
Who's to say? Like, the reality is,
I'm saying it's a fictional universe, obviously. So yes,
yeah, if we can have dragons, we can definitely have diversity, right?
Right. So, but historically, I mean, if you think about historically, first of all, black people ain't gonna be around dragons, in my opinion.
Black people. No, her family was white.
Dragons.
Her family was white, and they were incestuous, so they had white hair, and they were white people. But when they started about going to the east, going to different parts, there would be people of other color. The reality is, though, these, like, ancient Rome, ancient Greece wasn't all white. They were city centers, just like a New York City or a London today. So everybody went there. So I think this, like, even there was a show called on Stars about Catherine of Aragon. Okay. You know, who married Henry, the first wife of Henry VIII, the one that didn't get killed. History has been so whitewashed that people actually thought that it's called The Spanish Queen. It's on Stars. People were like, oh, it's so woke because there were Black people in it. And in reality, she did have Black people as a part of her court. Like, it was real, but people saw it as like, oh, you're being so woke that you added Black people. No, there actually were Black people there. Like, Black people have been around forever. Like, diversity has technically been around, but I think that we have whitewashed it, or not we, Hollywood and white people in general have whitewashed it, because there are actual historical Black people who lived in medieval times in present day Europe. They were there. That's all I'm saying. Diversity was, so it's not forced,
It's just being recognized.
I think it's finally being recognized that, like, yeah, it wasn't all white.
Mm-hmm.
It just, because it wasn't.
Just wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and I also think, again, if you can have dragons,
You can have black people,
you can have black people. You
or
can have
Hispanic people, or
brown
Asians.
people. Jason Momoa was a part of it. We got to see the beautiful Jason Momoa without a t-shirt. Just his body. Just
I mean, we saw that in Aquaman. Right?
I know, but he was first in Game of Thrones before he became Aquaman. I think that gave way to Aquaman. Yeah. Because okay. Before I get hot over here, think about Jason Momoa. Whew, Lord. Okay. What else we talk about? There's one more thing.
Sunny Hostin.
I'm still thinking about Jason. Oh, he's so good looking. Okay. Yeah, Sunny. I love Sunny because she reads Meghan McCain on the daily. Mm-hmm. She is hosting an inclusive production. Speaking of diversity, an inclusive production company focused on social justice.
That's awesome.
I think it is. And she's a lawyer, or was a lawyer, and a prosecutor. So she can also give that legal aspect of cases, how they go, why certain things went the way it is, and how we can like legally change it. Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like she's going to be working with Octavia Spencer's production company, Ort Entertainment, where they're going to focus on stories and content that centers on women and people of color, as well as people in the LGBTQ community. So I think it's great, and she comes from an Afro-Latina perspective. So I think this is great, and it's needed, and go Sunny.
I know, and we need, and these are two intelligent Black women who are going to give you good content, not like more Real Housewives of Atlanta. Although that is entertaining, for what it is. But we need a diversity of programming, just like anybody else.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So I wonder when, like what platforms though are they going to be on? I mean, it says the global multi-platform media company will develop. Well, I already said all that. But where is it going to be? Like Netflix? Is it going to be?
Well, she works with ABC and Disney, so I think it has to probably be housed. Yeah, she'll probably stay with them. I know she's also a contributor for, she's a contributor for ABC News. So I think she's kind of like beholden to the Disney family.
To that family. Yeah.
That's
her world, her space.
Yeah. So I feel like they're going to keep her.
Yeah, you're probably correct in that assessment.
But I like hearing that.
That doesn't happen very often. Does not happen very often at all. So, you are accurate in that assessment.
So, Sunny, I would love to work with you.
Samesies.
Nano Suji, I am a stan, especially when you correct Meghan and other crazy people on that show with facts and intelligence. Mm-hmm. So I will be there. With you, for you, helping you, programming, producing, hosting. I can, we can do it.
Do it all. Do it all.
I can do it all, Sunny. Holla at me. Holla.
Holla. Holla.
And also, just a side note before we have our guest on, I just want to say, Meghan McCain, dear, you are not the only conservative on mainstream TV, and liberals don't control all of media and all of government. That is a lie from the pits of hell, where your husband was probably conceived.
Oh wow!
I don't like her husband at all.
Oh my gosh. Who is her husband?
His name is Ben Sass. He is the creator of this right-wing publication called The Federalist.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I was
Oh,
right.
bless her heart. I mean, I was kind of feeling her a little bit when she was, she definitely was not a trumpet.
No, but she defended him at every
She
turn.
did it sometimes, but I mean, anyway, let's not even go into that whole space. Let's stay in a happy space and bring in our guest. So I see her in the studio, so I'm going to bring her in. And here we go. Hello there.
Hi there, how are you?
Doing well. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for
Welcome.
joining us.
Thank you. Can you also join the link I sent? Because that's a different platform.
Oh, which link is that?
That was the link that was in the questions.
Oh, she went away.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, she went away on this one.
A brief moment of cutting.
Oh, there you go. You're back.
Which other link was that?
That was in the email that I sent you with the questions.
Let's see. It came over yesterday at 8:58. Let's see, I'll re-forward it.
Is that Squadcast?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm noting the time for editing.
Sames. And
Do you see the link? I don't have
Yeah,
that.
I'm joining the session.
okay, I was gonna say I'm gonna resend it.
This looks. Oh, okay, now I'm centered.
We're not gonna be centered for long.
Are you changing the?
I'm gonna feature our guest.
Oh, okay. Well, you go ahead and do that. I'm off to the side now.
Nana was having an issue joining earlier too. I don't know what's.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not, I'm in Firefox and it's like not.
It's best to use Chrome.
I mean, my Chrome is so out of date and that's why I usually can't. Hold on a second. I have an old computer and my OS is not compatible, so my Chrome usually gives me problems. So I was trying to, let me see if it'll work.
You were able to get into StreamYard on Firefox too? Oh.
Yeah, but now I'm on my phone off my computer because I was seeing some issues with that. I don't know. It gave me this name.
I hear it.
Okay. Well, this is just the audio, but now it sounds odd.
Ooh.
Because if I put headphone, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hello?
Yeah, it still has a heavy echo.
Because I'm on my phone here and I'm on my computer here and two different things.
Mm. Yeah, usually usually it's best to have it just on one device if you can, so that we don't have all of this echo, and then just have two windows open. Oof. Yeah. Are you on one device?
Yeah, well, she was saying she was on her phone because her Chrome was giving her fix.
I now have to open up StreamYard on my computer,
Oh.
but I'm sure the video is going to be delayed. But I can do that if you want me to.
Yeah, because with the phone and the computer, then it doesn't work. And then we have two apps running at the same time. So usually we've seen it work best on a desktop or a laptop.
I can't see anything. Can you hear me?
Can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We
Yeah,
can hear you, just can't see you. Yeah, it's
Can you hear me?
Can hear you.
Can you hear us? Oh, she can't hear us.
No.
But we can't hear us. You can't hear us, but
we can hear you.
I was like, what?
Oh boy, that didn't make very much sense. Okay, so maybe can we? Yeah, I see her down in the I see her here in the green room, but when I try to add her, it's not
working.
Yeah.
Well, we can just use
Squadcast.
Yeah, we can just use Squadcast.
Yep, let's just do that. So
Yeah, let's just use Squadcast then.
Okay. So do we want to keep StreamYard going and then just
Yeah.
Okay.
Or do you want to pause it and then we'll come back and wrap it up?
Well, we can come back and I'll just cut it. I can just cut the part and just because I don't want to leave the studio and then try to come back. So
I think they're gonna have to pick one.
Yeah, we are. That's fine. Are you there?
So you can get out of StreamYard altogether. Yeah. And just stick with Squadcast. Hopefully she's still in Squadcast. I see her icon, but I don't see any audio. Hello? Hello?
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know. I don't hear anything. Oh, I'm about to.
You can email. And just say.
I see her on Squadcast. Don't you
too.
see the eye?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
Okay. So that means she's still there, right?
I guess.
I'll try to email. I think maybe I have her number. I'll call her. 10 minutes. Quick answers.
Hello?
Hi. So can you hear us? Because we see you still on Squadcast, but we just said we're just going to use Squadcast.
Oh, okay.
So we see your eye, but we don't see like any picture or anything.
Okay, let me hang up.
Okay.
All right.
There we go.
Is she frozen?
Yeah, she is now. There we go. Hello.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Can you see
She's
us?
frozen now.
I see blinking, I think.
Oh yeah, there we go. We have movement.
Can you hear us? No, she's frozen. Oh, now she's joined again. I don't know. I don't see anything.
Mm-mm.
I see two, but I don't hear anything at all.
Right, I don't hear anything either.
Let me. And now we're recording 4.
We're recording.
No, it's still recording, but instead of saying 3, it has 4.
Right, yeah.
So I'm just like, but nothing is happening.
Well,
I don't
you're-
hear anything.
Yeah. Well, one of them should end and eventually, right?
No. Still says 4. I don't know why. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.
Okay.
I forgot that we pay for recording, but since
for that.
Okay.
What is today?
The 5th, Cinco de Mayo.
Okay.
Okay, she left both. And she's no longer in StreamYard, right?
Oh, no, I don't think so. No, she's not in StreamYard either. So maybe I wish there was a way to pause StreamYard.
There's not a way to pause StreamYard?
Mm-mm.
You just have
there
to
she is.
leave?
She's back on, or did she on Squadcast? Oh, then she went away.
I don't see it.
On Squadcast, she just popped in and then now she's gone again.
Oh. Okay, I think I see it now.
Hello?
There
Yes.
you go.
Hello? Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on one second. I'm not recording anymore because I stopped.
Okay.
So let me, this thing is rendering. I don't know why. I really don't need this thing to render because.
But I guess if you can hear me fine.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
If you go to your the little settings thing next to your name, you can change your the settings so that you can connect to your headset, or right now it says default, and then it says headset earpiece for a microphone.
When I click that, it doesn't really. I have one in my ear, but it's not. It's like a wireless. I don't know if that's why.
Oh, it might not. I don't know if it picks it up. Usually wired headphones work best on
Because my new phone doesn't have a jack. So
iPhone.
It's a Samsung S21 actually.
Really?
I might not have bought this phone, but this makes me more of a hassle than it's worth. But if you guys can hear me, that's fine.
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Let me hit record.
Turn the camera off. Is that it?
Yeah, this is the audio. So this just has video capability because it just makes interviewing people easier to see them.
Okay.
But yeah, you're not on camera per se at this point.
All right, so I'm gonna hit record and we're gonna start. Okay, we are back and we want to welcome our very special guest, Iquo. Why did I was like, I know how to say her name and then I messed it up.
Why don't you start over? Try again. Ooh,
Thank
take
you.
2.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, we are back with our very special guest, Iquo B. Essien. Thank you. Welcome to the podcast. So, with a BS from Stanford University, Nigerian American filmmaker Iquo B. Essien began her career at a communications firm representing global health clients such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the National Institute of Health. Driven to combine her passion for social change and the arts, she received her MFA in film from NYU's Tisch School of the Arts, where she was nominated for the 2013 Student Academy Awards, 2015 Africa Movie Academy Awards, and won the Spike Lee Production Fund Grant for her short Aissa's Story. Her films have screened in 14 countries worldwide, including at the Pan-African Film and Television Festival of, can you help me pronounce this? Where is this?
FESPACO.
Okay, FESPACO. Okay, we're going to say FESPACO for short. The Durban International Film Festival, New York African Film Festival, and Zanzibar International Film Festival. Mrs. Essien recently launched a successful $30K fundraising campaign to turn her family's historical land in Calabar, Nigeria, into the Elizabeth's Daughter Memoir Gallery and Artist Residency. She plans to transform the former home of her late grandmother into an artist residency and gallery exhibiting a content archive of audio recordings, photos, video archival documents, journals, and writings she amassed over 10 plus years of memoir research. When she's not making art, she teaches people how to tell their story, market their work, and raise money through her online course and consultancy, Crowdfund Your Dream. Welcome to the podcast.
Yay, welcome. Big claps, big claps.
So in your video on your personal website, you talk about how you realized that science and research were not for you, and especially after your mother's death, and you just wanted to do something that would make you happy, which I think a lot more people are doing now. So was there any interest in film before her death that maybe you suppressed, and what stopped you from taking that path initially?
Well, growing up, my parents had started an African dance troupe in our basement. So growing up, I did a lot of performing arts. We did music, drumming, dancing, storytelling. We would put on presentations at cultural events and school assemblies, universities all throughout upstate New York where I grew up. And I also was I studied classical piano and violin, so I was a dancer, I was a musician, I loved creative writing. I did a lot of performing arts and creative stuff.
But I just also happen to be advanced in science and math. So, most of our immigrant parents, it's doctor, lawyer, engineer, and some path that they see as helping you build a financial future, especially for all the sacrifices they went through getting here and trying to create better opportunities for us as their children.
Yeah.
So I was really pushed to the science and math side. I was taking advanced classes in high school. I was taking college classes when I was still in high school. I went to Stanford on a research scholarship because I'd done a lot of research. Like they would send me to summer science camp.
Wow.
So I was on that path, but it was pretty early on. Like I think sophomore year, I was in Ghana, University of Ghana, Legon. I was doing the National Institutes of Health Minority International Research Training Program. And so I was doing research in the lab, right, at University of Ghana, Legon, and I would like leave this air-conditioned lab in the afternoon, and I would be in the sun, and I would hop on the trotro, the little buses that they have, and I would go to take dance classes with this amateur dance troupe. And I remember feeling like I was miserable in the lab, but that I would have so much enjoyment when I left, and just feeling like I didn't have that same passion for science and math that maybe I had that curiosity growing up, but I didn't think I had a passion that I wanted to do it for my life, because I just didn't feel that turned on by it. And I remember coming back and telling my parents, I wanted to switch majors because I was a bio major, pre-med at the time. And my dad sent around this news article which detailed the entry level salaries based on your major. And he showed me all the creative folks at the bottom of the list and all of the technical folks at the top of the list, and said, you should not change your major. We don't support it. My mom said, we're not paying for an extra year for you to find yourself at Stanford. So I had to stick with my major. I mean, they told me no uncertain terms I had to stick with biology, which I did. And then, as you mentioned, my mother was diagnosed with cancer my junior year. And she passed away at the beginning of my senior year. And I had essentially saved my most difficult courses till my last year, because I was putting everything off because I wasn't that happy in the major. So I remember grieving at the same time as I was like taking advanced linear algebra, physical chemistry, and all of these crazy things. And it was a horrible experience that basically imprinted itself on me psychologically. And I just knew, even if your parents tell you do this, do that, deep down they really want you to be happy. They don't walk your path with you. They want to be there to guide you, but they don't walk it with you. Little did we know, like, my mom wasn't going to be around to walk with me. So I knew I had to do something that would make me want to get up in the morning, something that I really have a passion for. And I think, in a certain sense, as awful as losing her was, and it still is awful, I didn't feel that same sense of obligation that I think some people did at the similar age. I just was like, I'm going to chart my own path, figure it out what it is I want to do, and just keep going for it. So I'm sure my father still wishes he had more of a say-so in exactly what I'm doing with my life. But deep down, I think as long as we're happy, our parents are happy for us. So I would say, long story short, I always had an interest in performing arts. I always wanted to be a creative person, as in full-time creative, but it took me finding my own inner courage to pursue it.
Yeah. I feel that. That's my story. I got into med school and then I moved to New York. And then my parents asked me for all the money they spent on my education back. They literally did. I was like, well, you're not going to get that back, but good luck. So you talked about your mother. And so this is a very interesting project that you're doing, a residency in Calabar for African artists, African women artists. But it first started out as a memoir. So can you just walk us through this, of how this started out to be a book? Because on your site, I was reading that as you went back, you realized that this was too much information and it was in too many different forms for it to just be a book. And then it became something that is going to be a residency helping other African female artists or women artists. And then also, what surprised you on this journey of going back home and researching about your mom and your family history?
Yeah. Well, I would say that the project started out. I mean, I construct a narrative in hindsight of what the experience of making the project has been. But at the time, when I first went to Nigeria and did the memoir research, I had been on leave from film school. Like, I had done a year of film school and I'd left because I'd gone totally broke. I had been working as a communications and marketing director at an arts nonprofit, but I had been let go. And so basically, I was on unemployment. I was living with my sister in the Bronx. I didn't really know which direction my life was going, but a friend of mine, she was executive, I believe she was executive director of the Nigeria Leadership Initiative, which had a Future Leaders Summit. And she said, "Why don't you apply for the Future Leaders Summit? They fly you to Lagos for a few days. You meet with other Nigerians in the diaspora. You talk about how to help advance the country forward through value-based leadership." Because I've always been a natural leader, right? So I was like, okay, I self-nominated, because I had a self-nomination process. I self-nominated. I got into the program. They flew me out to Lagos. I did the 3 days. I met tons of amazing people many of whom I'm still in touch with today. And I told them to extend my ticket because I wasn't doing anything in New York anymore. I mean, I was basically unemployed. So, and I hadn't seen my family back home in a while, really, like really spending time. So after you say hi to your aunties, uncles, and cousins, basically it's then sort of what do you do? And I was basically back in New York with my family, just kind of chilling. And I had always had this idea about doing a memoir about my late mom. At that point in 2010, when this was happening, she had been gone for 8 years already. And I had written things. I'd been in writers' workshops. I'd written a bunch of stuff, but I hadn't put anything together. But I had actually applied for a travel study grant earlier that year that I didn't end up getting. But in the course of making that application, I had constructed this list of people I would interview about my mom if I could.
Mm-hmm.
So when I found myself in Nigeria and I was trying to figure out what to do, I kind of pulled the list out and it gave me a sense of direction. And I said, I'm just going to talk to everybody on this list. I'm going to start just finding out more about my mom and my history. And as I went, I was knocking on people's doors. Sometimes they would be giving me old photographs, and I started sort of cataloging, scanning them and saving them. I was taking new pictures because I was meeting people, so I was taking pictures of them. I was taking pictures of the village and places where my mom, her growing up years before she came to the States. I was conducting the interviews. I was doing video. I was making the audio recordings of the interviews. And all of a sudden I was writing a memoir. Every day I would write. I would write. And then I realized as I was doing the research, I was like, okay, I'm making a memoir. And that first trip, I was probably there around 4 months, doing all that research. I came back for a couple months, and during which, I immediately came back, and like a month into being back in New York, still not sure what I was really doing, my uncle passed away, my mother's younger brother, in Atlanta, where he lived due to smoke inhalation from a fire, like a tragic accident, And I remember feeling so torn up because there were so many questions I had for him because I just started doing this family research project and he was gone. And I realized how the history we have is so precious. And when people die, they take that history with them. Mm-hmm. And so I became even more fired up. I went back to Nigeria. I did like a writer's workshop, the Fidelity Bank writer's workshop that was at University of Nigeria in Nsukka, led by Helen Havila, Diana Evans, and Jamal Maju. A friend of mine, whom I later ended up dating, was doing Chimamanda's workshop that was in Lagos.
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah, so I was becoming more involved, and I've been blogging for years, so I was becoming more interested also in the literary scene as well that's happening in Nigeria. So by that time, I knew I was really writing a book. And so I just kind of kept the project going. So by then, when I had come back for the writer's workshop, et cetera, it was 2011. And then around that point, I actually decided to go back to film school. But sort of fast forward to 2013, I completed what I call a memoirette, which is called Elizabeth's Daughter in Words and Pictures. And I sold it. Like, I put it on Google Books, and I started selling it to friends and family because I thought, if I can sell this, then maybe I can fund additional legs of this memoir journey. Because I self-published that, and I thought, you know, I could write this like for real. I could find a real publisher, an agent, and all that, and have a real book, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I remember like 8 of my friends and family buying the memoirette and feeling slightly discouraged, you know? But nevertheless, I kept the project going. And so if you fast forward from 2013, where I completed the memoirette till now, I just have continued doing interviews. I've continued writing, revising, revamping. So, but at the same time, I've continued gathering more audio recordings, historical documents, all of these things. And I began realizing, like, what kind of publisher is going to want to publish a huge book of essays plus like 1,000 pictures or whatever? I just didn't see it happening. And I was like, but what about my audio recordings? What about the video? Like, what about all this other stuff? And it started to make sense. Oh, like, what if this were more like a gallery exhibition? Right? That just seemed like a more interesting idea to me, and that it made the most of what I thought was a really amazing archive, because as I feel for all of us, my family's story, like the people who stayed and the folks that migrated out of Nigeria, offers a unique lens on 100 years of Nigerian history, right? From colonialism through independence, war, globalization, all of it is encapsulated in the story of my family members, not just my mother, but the story of our people. And so, yeah, that idea came to me a few years ago, and I never told anybody really, until, you know, I realized I heard from my auntie she was planning to sell this piece of land where my late grandmother used to live, and I had always imagined putting this project in that site because that's a historical site. It's the plot of land in Calabar that my late grandfather purchased. We are from Akwa Ibom State, which with what we now know as Akwa Ibom State. And in those days, he left Akwa Ibom to come to Calabar, what we now know as Cross River State, to work. He was a teacher, he was a businessman, etc. He purchased this plot of land, and many of the Ibibio people who would pass through Calabar, which was a port town, a colonial town, and all that, would stay in the compound. So I felt that this bit of land had this cross section of history and culture that I wanted to preserve. And as my aunt was talking about selling it, I was like, no, please don't. And I mounted actually this campaign around my project because I thought maybe if I share it with people, they'll want to fund this dream that I have. Because, you know, as a creative, it's not like I have a nest egg that I can just be buying up lands and like developing things out of my pocket. But what I've learned as a creative in terms of fundraising, even how I raised money for my first short film when I was in film school, is that if you share your message with enough people, they'll support you. I think each of us, you know, each of us can find our village no matter how small. That's my motto, and the motto of the course that I actually teach, Crowdfund Your Dream. And so I'm really thrilled that, you know, I recently launched a $30,000 campaign on iFund Women to fund this project. And I've been fully funded. And so part of it, yes, is the virtual exhibit of my family's history, the live and virtual exhibit. So it would be an actual exhibition in the home of like various artifacts, audio recordings, writings, photos, video, etc. that I've gathered over the years, right? And then also made accessible worldwide through a virtual gallery. And then on the other side of it, in the adjacent dwelling, I'd like to create a residency space for visiting African women artists who also do work that engages in cultural and historical preservation. I've been chatting a lot, so let me stop there. But that's basically the genesis of the idea.
No, I mean, I think that's great because, as you said, like I did the same thing in grad school, not the whole exhibition, but like I wanted to chart my family's experience in the war and how, I mean, that explains why I'm here, right? Because they were on the losing side. So my thesis documentary was about Nigeria 40 years after the war, but I wanted my mom to tell her story because she was a nurse during the war and she lost 4 of her siblings during the war. And like, you know, and like you said, like also a lot of Nigerian history is oral. And so not so much of it is written. So a lot of the pictures obviously were bombed because their home was bombed, their compound was bombed. So I was trying to preserve something. And so I think a lot of us, especially first generation Americans, are trying to preserve or at least understand where our parents came from, and have a connection to our history. Because I was talking to a girl earlier, a friend of mine who's Jewish, and she found out that a lot of her family was killed before they were ever sent to the camps during the Holocaust. But she was able at least to find people through ancestry. And that's something I don't think we can do. I don't think I can go on Ancestry and find my relatives. Like, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I think what you're doing is great. And hopefully other African women can do that as well. So that I think also not only us, but other people can get a better idea of what goes on in those countries that all you see are huts, and like children with flies, and like that's it. That's what you think it is, and it's so much more than that.
Yeah. So, in addition, you to everything that you're doing here, you also help brands with storytelling. So, how did you get involved with that, and how do you bring new and fresh ideas to your clients that fit their needs and their messaging?
Yeah, I would say that, you know, when I was in film school, I had to keep working more or less because I went broke. So, and what I encourage most of my creative clients to do, or trying to make a living as a creative person, is to continue like honing their transferable skills. So, I mean, I went to film school to learn how to tell stories, and to make it through film school, I had to help clients tell stories. So essentially, it's like I parlayed my film experience and my work experiences into a consulting career. So I skipped over a lot in my story, but my first actual real job after I graduated with a bio degree that I basically didn't want to use either as a doctor or researcher, was the global health communications firm that represented the NIH, CDC, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Global Health Program. So it was really like a health communications, like science communications type of job. But a lot of it was, how do you tell stories with data, right? So it included like designing presentations, writing press releases, doing media backgrounders, sometimes drafting op-eds and stuff like that. And so once I left that job, applied for film school, and started my film school trajectory, I just kept refining those skills. And working with a range of clients. I mean, I've worked in nonprofit environments, I've worked at startups, I've worked with like corporations, and I think it's all the same thing, is that, you know, everybody has a message and a mission, and they're just trying to share it with people. So I like to just say at the part of what I do is I use, you know, writing, photography, video, social media, web, etc., to help companies connect with other people. And I like to focus more on socially conscious businesses that are trying to make a difference in the world, whether it's like helping them launch podcasts, or like a recent client of mine who's she's a documentary filmmaker who made a documentary about Black women and depression called Black Girl Blues. Shout out to Cherise Hilario. And she's right now creating a virtual community to accompany her documentary, so that Black women actually have a space to share stories, right? So it's very creative. It's very creative. I've had, you know, clients that are interior designers. I've had clients that are in the wellness space. I've had clients that are dancer choreographers. And, you know, I think, like we all learn in school, this, you know, all these different like archetypes of story. And I think that we all are engaged in sharing a mission and a message with the world. And I basically just use all the tools at my disposal to help people do that. And also, I would say that I tried at my best when I created this Crowdfund Your Dream course, which is really a foundational course in communications, marketing, and fundraising for artists and creative entrepreneurs, because because I typically had so many people always reaching out to me for help, and it was typically people who needed help on their crowdfunding campaigns. Because when I was in film school, as I sort of briefly touched on, I made a short film called Isis Story, and it was actually, when I was in Nigeria, that last leg of my journey on the memoir research trip, Dominic Strauss-Kahn, who was then head of the IMF, the International Monetary Fund,
Oh,
which controlled
yeah.
basically development aid on the continent, was accused of sexually assaulting an African immigrant maid in a Manhattan hotel room.
Yeah.
And it hit the news. I was in Lagos, and I remember watching this news story, and I thought the world turned on its head, because you had this woman who had comparatively very little power accusing this man who literally holds the purse strings on development aid in Africa of assaulting her. And he was in the running for the French presidency. He had to resign from his candidacy. He was arrested. They did this dramatic perp walk. Nobody believed the lady, right? Like, they ended up dropping the criminal charges against him. They said she was incredible. It was this crazy story, right? It was like a David meets Goliath. And I remember thinking, this would make an amazing film. And at that point, I wasn't actually sure if I was going to go back to film school or not. But when I heard the story, I was like, this is a story that somebody needs to tell. So I actually left Nigeria at that when I finished the workshop, etc., and decided I was going to go back to NYU Tisch. So I went back to school to tell this story. And as you know, in film, it's all about personal relationships. I'd been on leave for 3 years. Nobody knew me. Nobody signed up for my movie. Well, my bad. One person signed up, my friend Jackie, did not show up for the production meeting.
I was about to say, shout out Jackie, but never mind.
So, 4 weeks to production period, I realized I had no crew. And I was like, and you can't force people to work on your set, right? It's like, we're required to sign up for 5 sets, but if no one signs up for yours, there's no mechanism to force them to. So, I realized that I was going to have to hire a crew, but I didn't have any money. So I realized I had to actually launch a fundraising campaign. If I didn't raise the money, I was not going to make the movie. So I literally launched a fundraising campaign in 4 weeks. I raised $15,000. I paid my entire crew, and I made a movie. And the movie ended up taking me all around the world to 14 different countries. Right?
Wow.
But the principle is this: I had been working in communications marketing. And I realized, I have a message. I need to make a movie. I need to raise money. If I just get this message out to enough people, they will respond, right?
Yeah.
I had to have some kernel of belief in that. And that campaign taught me so much. I mean, first of all, it made me feel incredibly empowered and powerful, because nobody believed in the story. Nobody believed in me or my project. I was the only one who carried the kernel of belief in myself and said, even when nobody is coming to crew for me, I'm going to make this story happen. It also taught me that I had what it took to be a director. Because to be a director, you have to have that almost blind faith in yourself that flies in the face of all reason, And so putting that together with the skills I had been gaining as a communications and marketing professional, who basically, while I was in school, I worked. When I was on leave, I worked, and I just kept picking up skills, and I just turned those skills around that I learned working for clients, and I put them towards my own work. And so that was the first time I actually launched a campaign, and that was 10 years ago. So it's like I had come off of this memoir project, launched myself back into film, did this fundraising campaign, and it essentially created a trajectory to the present when I finally because people would hear it. I don't want to say it was legendary. I don't want to make it seem that way, but it's like, we have an NYU Tisch listserv, and when anybody would ask about crowdfunding, people would either tell them they should contact me, or I would just reply. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would be taking all these calls with people trying to pick my brain and ask what's going on. And I finally realized I needed a better solution, right, to this issue people have with raising money for their work. And I realized I needed to sort of just make a course. So I created Crowdfund Your Dream, which is a like I said, a grassroots communications, fundraising, and marketing course for artists and entrepreneurs. It's soup to nuts, teaches you what you need to know to level up, and essentially to create a foundation for your entire creative life. Like it includes like marketing plans and timelines. It includes like email templates if you need to raise money or just communicate about your work, social media posts. It includes the basics of like business setup, starting a business bank account. If you're like, okay, I want to have a production company, it's all of it. The basics of communications. What is a message? What is a call to action? Like join my mailing list, sign up on my website, donate, etc. And it's everything I had basically been picking up in 10 to 15 years of my professional life into a course. So now when people call me and ask questions, I have a product for them. So it also represented for me personally a level up in terms of monetizing these skills I've been picking up into a way where I could actually develop a business that I could scale and grow, right? So that I can just do this work, that creative business, and but do it at my own pace, set my own hours, and have room for my actual passions, like my films and all the other creative work that I want to do. I can't remember where that question started, but that's that's where we're gonna end it.
Now that I think you also answered another question, but that's okay. But that's, I mean, anyone who's ever done any kind of crowdfunding or anything like that knows that it's not an easy thing. So I think that's valuable information. And if someone wants to learn more, they can hit you up.
Yeah.
Uh, um, so, in addition to storytelling, you also specialize in, as you just said, you touched on this already, helping folks create their marketing and fundraising campaigns. So what are like 3 common pitfalls that you see that people should avoid if they're trying to just get a head start?
I mean, the big picture mistake I think most people make who launch a fundraiser is they don't launch a marketing campaign with their fundraiser. That's what I teach in my course, because it's like it's that old saying: if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there, does it make a sound? Many people are like, okay, I want to do a crowdfunder if that's their choice. You know, like as I said in the course, I teach a lot of different fundraising strategies. Crowdfunding is just one of them. Like for my film, per se, I did crowdfunding on Indiegogo. I did equity investor. I had a friends and family letter writing campaign. And I also had physical sponsorship through Fractured Atlas. But most people know and have heard of crowdfunding, right?
Yeah.
So many of them are like, okay, I put the page up. Now the money's going to fall on my head. And that's not at all true. It's like you have to create the campaign, as in go on the platform and create it and have your promo video, your messages, your rewards, and everything else. But you have to market your campaign, otherwise nobody knows about it. And in most cases, you have to market it before you launch it because of things such as the popularity algorithm, which basically, like in the first 3 days on a Kickstarter or Indiegogo, if you don't have a lot of traffic and you're not raising like 30% of your goal in those first few days, the algorithm feeds back information that says you're not likely to be successful, right? And it doesn't feature your page as prominently. So the idea is you have to let people know it's happening before you launch. So I would say that's probably the number one pitfall. The other one, the other thing that I see a lot of, I guess this just sort of gets into creative challenges as well, because I do in general like creative consultation with people, is I feel like a lot of us have ideas of things that we want to do. But people, I think, struggle a lot with what I call vision planning, which is to actually sit down and just come up with a few basic action steps to get where we need to be. I have like reasons why I think that is, but I think it's true of a lot of people, is that we spend a lot of time in the dream state of like daydreaming about what we want and not really taking even one step towards it. And many people can spend years in that phase and experience incredible frustration, you know? So I always encourage people to at least write down the first few steps that you could take or find help. so that you can get there. Because overwhelmingly, I experience people have a ton of creative ideas and they haven't sat down and planned one step out, before we even get to the fundraising
Yeah.
part of it. And what would I say the third? I mean, what I teach people in my course is to really focus on your culture factor, what makes you uniquely you, and that just doesn't have to be race, ethnicity, immigration status. That can be, I always use this example of like maybe you're a single mom who loves to crochet and you want to start a crochet business, right? So your culture factor might be tapping into like more single moms or tapping into more crochet. Maybe there's crochet groups on Facebook, or groups about women in business. That each of us, like I said, each of us can find our village no matter how small. And I think that contrary to the way most people perceive themselves, like people perceive themselves as being in one of the marginalized groups that are non-mainstream, think of it as a drawback. I actually think of it as a plus because I think tight-knit communities really want to see people in their community shine. And if you ask them to support your work, they're going to be there for you.
Sure.
And they find the data shows, I quote a lot from the Black Folk Diversity and Giving Study, shows that folks that identify as African American, Asian American, Latinx communities are typically not as much asked to donate as folks who identify as white. Because white folks have just so much dominated, obviously because white folks historically have had more access to wealth, right?
Yeah.
Dominated philanthropy and fundraising. But that people in our communities, they have a tradition of giving as well. Many people give at church, many people give to charity. Many people, especially we all know this in coming out of COVID here, they help give money for funerals. They help give money for weddings, your children's birthdays, etc. We have strong traditions of giving in our community. And I really do believe if we just turn around to our community and ask for the support that we need, it is there for us. And so I do encourage people, the pitfall of like looking outward versus looking inward and back to our communities is to really lean into your community and what I call your culture factor. And I really do think if you come from a tight-knit community, that is actually a level up.
Interesting. I mean, I have found that very niche groups tend to give more, but I feel like right now, I know this sounds odd, Black women are in. So I think like people want to give to Black women for whatever reason.
And I think we should all take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And ride the wave,
Yeah, as far as I'm gonna be, as long as I'm gonna be trendy, I'm gonna try and make it work. So that's true. Like this 2020, I gave more to people than I ever have in past years, just because I was like, why not? I mean, we all trying to make it.
Right.
I feel you.
So, you have your production company. Is it Editi? Editi. Okay, Films. How did you manage to get your film seen all over the world and recognized by media outlets like NBC, The Guardian, Vice, and The Root?
Yeah, I wish that I could say I had that like entrepreneurial hustle and like forced it on people. But to be honest, so when I made Isa's story, I screened it for my second year project. We screen it at the end of the year, and then we roll into our third year, and we like take all kind of electives, etc. And I spent that third year revising the film. Like I did a re-edit of the film. I redid the sound. Like I really did professional sound mixing, all of that, and then I sent it to the Student Academy Awards for consideration, and I was a regional semifinalist. And starting from there, and then also the New York African Film Festival, which I see as a feeder festival for a lot of these African story film festivals around the world. A lot of programmers go to NIAF, that's New York African Film Festival, and they just picked it up. So they basically picked it up and they ran around the world with my movie. Also, I submitted it for FESPACO, which is the biennial, essentially Africa's Oscars, and it was accepted as an official selection for Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
And that did it too. I mean, once my film was in Fespaco, a festival that only happens once every 2 years and is very selective, like the programmers just picked it up and it was screened in Germany and France and Zanzibar. Like,
Wow.
it was just screened everywhere. My body didn't even physically make it all the places that the film went. Um, but it was really a validation for me because, as I said, when I made the film, nobody in my entire class worked on the movie.
Yeah.
And I remember being like stupefied that I then traveled the entire world. Like, and I would have traveled with my people. Like, I would have traveled with my classmates had any of them worked on it, but none of them did. So I myself went with the film around the world. I mean, whichever places flew me in, and it was such a testament to like really believing in your story. And it resonated a lot because this is a story about, it's about immigrant women. It's a story about the American injustice system. It's a story about wealth and power. It's a story about a powerful man who has a fall from grace. It's like a story about a woman who has to speak truth to power. It contains multitudes in the story. And what I did in the short was I picked up from where the criminal case was dismissed against the guy, and I walked through the experience of a single mother that the media has basically discarded after vilifying, who has to basically pick her life back up, get her daughter to believe in her again, and decide whether she's going to fight after the case is dismissed. And at the end of the short, she decides to file a civil suit. Now, in real life, the real housekeeper, Nafisatu Jallo, did file the civil suit. She did win. She was awarded an undisclosed sum of money. She opened up a restaurant in the Bronx. And the real life DSK went back to France, was brought up on more charges that he stated, and continues to just make untold wealth. He continues. I have a DSK track, like I have a Google alert set up for DSK, and it stuns me how a man can wreak so much havoc worldwide and still be quoted as a preeminent economic scholar. Like, and it's as if it never happened.
Are you stunned? Are you stunned though? Are you really stunned by that?
I'm not stunned. I maintain the alert just so I know.
Oh, because I'm like,
every time I like put it on Facebook, like, here we go again. But yeah, so it was mainly being in these really prominent festivals, having the programmers pick up the film and then screen it in their countries and in their festivals that they program. And because of that, the press obviously becomes interested. And because it was a story ripped from the headline. See, that's the thing. Even when I keep talking about none of my classes, even when none of them were interested, I knew that this story had legs. And even, I must say now, it's literally almost 10 years to the day of the incident happening. And this story is still in the news because only very recently did the non-disclosure agreement expire. So we had our first public interview of Nafissatou Diallo since this happened very recently in a French magazine. And DSK, I think, is doing the same. I think he's finally trying to speak. I mean, he's still saying it was consensual, but it's really interesting because I think the story still has legs. And to be honest, I've been developing the story as both a feature and TV series for several years. That's a whole nother long story. But
oh wow,
the story I do think still has legs.
Yeah, and I mean, we see it, with other men as well, like
exactly
Donald Trump
and that's the thing,
and many other men. So not just him.
Remember a moment pre-Me Too. This was before Me Too. It's so hard to remember this time, but literally nobody believed her. Nobody.
Yeah.
We're in a completely different era now.
I remember, I think there was also like a video or something, but it didn't show anything. But that is a whole other story, as you said. Okay, so you talked about your other two films. So can you give us a log line for your other two films in development?
Yeah, so I have a film back home in development, which is loosely autobiographical about a young writer, and I'll just read the log line, which in itself has been a work in progress, but here it is. When a down on her luck writer gets fired from her job, her mother sends her back home to Nigeria 15 years after she left to look after her stubborn grandmother. Along the way, they form an unbreakable bond as she finds herself new love and a story waiting to be told while learning a powerful lesson that only Granny can teach her. That's the project called Back Home. And then the other project is called Mother Mother. And that logline is a former school teacher returns home to the Bronx after serving an 8-year prison sentence for the murder of her newborn baby girl and the attempted murder of her surviving son. So most of my films explore mother-daughter relationships, and I don't think they explore mother-daughter and grandmother-granddaughter relationships, like intergenerational relationships among women, and I don't think it's a surprise given how I lost my mom at 20. So I think in a lot of my films, I'm exploring that. And so while I explore it often from the kind of warm and fuzzy side, I was really interested in the mother case of exploring what it means to be a mother who's committed that like heinous act. Like it's a story of a woman who suffers from postpartum psychosis. In a fit of rage, she attempts to murder both of her children, and she only succeeds in murdering her baby girl, but her toddler son survives. So she gets out of jail and basically is attempting to like reconnect, you know. And so what does it mean to be the mother who has killed their own child, and attempted to kill another? So I'm always interested in looking at these different types and representations of motherhood and what they have to offer us.
I want to see that movie.
Right.
I mean, it's. I know. let me know. Also, casting, holla at me. Okay. As we're winding down, because we talked about quite a bit, is there anything that you want to quickly touch on that we did not speak about? Because you do a lot. And so covering that in like a 40-minute interview might not do it complete justice. But if there's something that you're like, you guys didn't mention this, I'd just like to speak on it.
No, I mean, I think that's about it. I mean, just to let people know, I guess this is the last question, but you know, you can connect with me. I mean, I do work one-on-one with clients, and people can purchase my course, Crowdfund Your Dream. But they can also work one-on-one with me, and it's not like just limited to fundraising and marketing. I do general creative consultation for people who have dreams they want to launch into the world, and I help them come up with action steps and a game plan to get there. And it's like work I have a strong passion for. So yeah, I mean, I just love to connect with people over that, and just to continue supporting people to make work.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. Oh, I dance. I still dance. That's one fun thing. And I still perform occasionally, actually, like dance performance. So I think that's about it.
What kind of dance?
Modern, mostly. I would say modern roots. So it's like modern, rooted in African traditional movement.
Got it. Well, we will put that information definitely in the show notes, and we're also going to post your crowdsourcing video, which I last saw has, I think, about 10 more days or 9 more days at this point.
Yeah, what's really lovely about iPhone Women is you can sort of keep extending the campaign. And I've been doing it because, like, tons of aunties, uncles, etc., like, are literally just hearing about it. And I'm like, it's been open for quite a while. So I keep extending it to give people time. So right now, yeah, I think it's about 10, so like it might actually be a couple, yeah, maybe it's like 11, 12 days or something right now. But even once the campaign officially closes on iPhone Women, I'm still fiscally sponsored through Fractured Atlas. So there's opportunities to support my work either through iPhone Women, and if you want to donate there, you can go to bit.ly/fund Iquo, IQUO, and that takes you right there.
Perfect.
So we ask all of our guests before they leave to give us some broke advice, some gifted advice, and some Black advice. And then we also ask how can we support you and follow you. You kind of already touched on that, but We'd love to hear some of your broke advice, your gifted advice, and your Black advice.
Okay, my broke advice is free concerts in New York.
In the park, yep.
Yeah,
In the park, yep.
Yes, I don't think, and maybe I'm cheap, I don't think I've paid for a concert in years.
Wow.
Why? Free concerts, yes, most of them in the park, but that's something that New York is great for. Gifted advice, I would say dream big and tell somebody about it. So don't put a lid on your dreams. Like, dream as big as your heart can imagine, and tell somebody, because I think on the one hand it's like being able to articulate what it is you want, and on the other is like having people in your life who can help hold you accountable and help you get there. So dream big and tell somebody about it. And then Black advice, don't get into other people's trouble. Like, don't get into other people's drama. Like, set your boundaries. Because, I always think about, what was I thinking about? I remember watching those funny videos, not that it was a funny situation, but about the insurrection. And all these Black folks joking, like, it ain't our battle. Like,
I mean, but that's true.
Don't get into other people's drama. We got enough problems.
How about that? I love it. I love it. I love it.
That's perfect advice. Because that one Black guy that was at the insurrection, he's still in jail. Anyway.
Yeah, I didn't even realize.
The one, yeah, the only one.
Yeah, a lot of others got out on bail. They're like, nah, son.
Yeah.
So he should.
It's funny because in the video he just looks like he's watching. He doesn't look like he's a rabble rouser. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just trying to be in it.
But had he listened to you and mind his Black ass business, he would be at home somewhere. Anyway, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for being on the show. We are going to have all of your information in the show notes. Thank you so much, Iquo, for being on Broke, Gifted, and Black.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you so much. You have a great rest of your day.
You too.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
And bye.
See. Let's stop. Okay, hold on. I stopped it. Okay. All right. A few minutes for this last part.
Okay.
Because our part was only 20 minutes before she got on.
Okay.
Nikki is like, okay. Okay, so a bath gaff. Maybe not a peek behind the curtain.
No, I do want to talk about Will Smith though, and his
body.
His body. Right, yeah.
Okay. All right.
So
And
who's your gaff? Is that on there?
Oh, my gaff is Joy Reid.
Okay.
She gave a wonderful, and I'm going to post the video.
Oh, maybe the bath goes to Kamala, even though she's not. Never mind. Go ahead.
I mean, they can all get it, but she gave a wonderful read to Tucker Carlson on her show. It was delicious. Okay. And we're back after having our special guest. We're going to get right into our BAF and our GAF, our Broke AF and Gifted AF awards. Our BAF, we briefly talked about it, goes out to all of Facebook. I don't care. First of all, how did that happen?
What happened?
It says your network disconnected from session. You can improve your connection, your Wi-Fi, your router, and I still have good internet. Y'all tripping. Hold up. Well, good thing it didn't do that during that. I do not appreciate this. Request permission, got it. Join. Is Mercury in retrograde or something?
No idea.
I did not appreciate that. Anyway. Okay. And let's try that again. Okay. Thank you so much to our special guest, Iquo Essien. Now we're going to get straight into our Broke AF and Gifted AF awards. Our BAF goes out to Facebook. Just because, honestly, I don't think it should have ever been up for question whether Trump can come back, whether he should come back. And now they're saying, their board said, yes, it was fine for Facebook to ban him, but they have to choose whether they're going to ban him, period. But this indefinite suspension is not something they can do. And I'm like, that's what? Why not?
But they can.
But they can't.
Right.
Why not?
Right.
I mean, I have literally, and this is a moment of transparency, I have been put in Facebook jail for telling a chick she had a flat ass. Okay?
Oh my gosh. Wow, that's interesting.
So you're telling me you can't suspend or ban a man for causing an insurrection against the American government?
Insurrection. Yeah, a whole insurrection.
But some chick who was trying to come at me and my hair, and I told her she had a flat ass and I was put in Facebook jail?
Well, how did you know that she had a flat ass?
I don't know. I just assumed.
Got
I
it.
was being an asshole because she was like, "Go comb your hair," because of my my profile pic has me natural, and she's being a texturist. I think she's also maybe being a little racist, but that's okay. Okay. Our gifted AF goes to the wonderful, talented, Harvard-educated Joy Ann Reid. She had a just delicious, wonderful read of Tucker Carlson on her show. That now I can't call him anything else but Tuckums, because that's what she called him, Tuckums.
Oh wow!
Because he calls her, and she showed many clips of him on his show, calling her the race lady.
Oh.
And then he also would refer to the fact that she went to Harvard, and she was like, "Oh, are you sad that you didn't get into Harvard, and your girlfriend's father had to pay for you to get into Trinity?" We're gonna post it on our social media. It is delicious. It is amazing. It is. I took notes. Wow. It is intelligent. It is classy, but she murdered him with that read. Like, do you want to see a dead body? Like, literally. It was wonderful. Gifted AF, Miss Joy Ann Reid.
Yay. Thank you, Joy.
And for a peek behind the curtain, Nikki wants to take a peek because Will Smith and his body are behind the curtain.
They are behind the curtain. Will. You know, I have to give him mad props for just like going on social media and being like, this is what I'm doing right now. Although I really think it's for probably a role. Like, I don't think he just went all just like
dad bod.
Yeah, I don't think he did that. But what's really cool about it is I noticed on Instagram today is that, you know, he's been getting a lot of like DMs for like different workouts and stuff. And
I saw that
reposting them. Yeah. And then he also, I guess, have gotten a lot of other men that have, you know, shown their little dad bods or whatever. And now he has a Will Smith 12-week fitness challenge. So it's like all these guys are going to get, yeah. So I think that's kind of cool that he's, you know, parlaying that, I guess, if you will, into, you know, helping other people get fit. Even though he'll probably be fit in 3 weeks because he has
personal
the money,
chef,
personal
and
chef and trainers
yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So he has like an unfair advantage, even though he's 50, he'll probably look like he's like easy 30 here shortly.
Yeah, of course.
But he better get that under control quickly before Jada has another entanglement.
Listen, I think that it's already been established that they're pretty open.
I mean, is it? He looks so sad.
I think that face was, how you gonna tell the whole world? But
she didn't tell the whole world. That was August. August coming out being
but
in
it's
his
like
feelings.
I think that was his, not her telling, but it's like, it's, you know how it's like, you've embarrassed me. His whole thing is like, our stuff has been put out on Front Street, because I feel like they've been open for a minute.
I mean,
I feel like they've been open for a minute.
Maybe.
Like, because there are pictures of her in August. There's a very like comfortable looking picture of her in August Alsina during that time, I guess, of the entanglement.
But apparently that's when they were supposedly unhappy. They weren't together then.
Were they not together? So they were actually separated.
Yeah, they were like separated and not, yeah.
I feel like he's more of, you know how like some spouses know that you're cheating, or maybe they know of it, but then when other people know, then it's like, that's an extra bit of embarrassment. That's the way I saw that face. Oh no, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I mean, I just found it very interesting that he just kind of, you know, put his body out there. Like,
I love it. It's celebrities. They're just like us. Because there have been times, listen, I have put pictures of Beyonce up for inspiration, but there have been times when Beyonce has gained weight and she's like, I've been eating. Leave me alone.
I'm hungry.
I have
food.
I'm not doing, you know, the South Beach diet or whatever it was in style at the time. Like, they are on strict diets. And I feel like once they like eat, it's like, their bodies become jiggly too.
Right.
So rock on, Dad Bod Will Smith.
Yeah, rock on.
I mean, he'll be in shape, like you said, by June 1st. He's fine.
Yeah, for sure.
He's fine. So that wraps up this episode of Broke, Gifted, and Black. Follow us on Instagram, email us, Facebook. America is a racist country. Thank you so much to Elijah Nelson, who edits all of our podcast. And yeah, it's still a racist country. And we'll see you in 2 weeks when it's still going to be a racist ass country.
All that.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.